everyone. You are now tuned into another episode of GTALK, and today we have our amazing, humble, but beautiful Ramsey. Hey, Erica!
Hi.
Erica, we're just going to jump right into it because I'm sure that people want to know why we even have you on this show. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I am 22 years old. I was raised in South Florida, and I am a full-time kids pastor.
Kids pastor.
Yes.
Ugh. Okay, so that's a lot to swallow in itself. Like, how did you even think to want to become a kids pastor? Let's talk about being a pastor, period.
It's so funny because I specifically would say in college I didn't picture myself as a pastor at a church, but I also didn't have a plan for after graduation. So the fact that the opportunity came, it was very random for me, but I feel like God's just graciously leading me, even though I don't really know what's going on sometimes. But
okay, that's cool. I love the fact that you said that you didn't even know, like, right? So do you think that this is something that God has called you to do?
Definitely. I've always known that I wanted to work with kids. I just didn't know to what capacity exactly that would be in. So,
and this is working for you. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So, tell us about your upbringing. Like, how did you even get into this path? Well, you had to start somewhere, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, both of my parents have been involved in kids ministry, so it was almost like a well-worn path that I was just meant to go down. And from when I was in middle school, I started volunteering in the kids ministry. My mom would always be there, so it was pretty natural just to go into it. I always had a love for kids growing up. So.
Okay, so how do you feel, or when did you feel like God called you to this occupation?
Well, I had a moment. I was at a National Youth Conference in 2009, and they had night services. So during one of those services, that's when I felt that God is just saying to go to Southeastern University for ministry school, and that I would be working in ministry in the future. So probably that night, I think it was in August 2009.
Did at any point did that frighten you, like that, just that calling, like God telling you, like, this is something that I want you to do?
Yes.
It did. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think sometimes we get psyched out or afraid of a calling that we know God has placed on us. Mm-hmm. So we tend to shy away from it because of the fear. So let's tap into that a little bit. So you obviously, you know that God has called you to this. Mm-hmm. In that fear, like, how did you process that, and how did you push past that?
Honestly, it just felt like such a big dream that I knew it was God because of how big it was, and I knew that there was no other way that it could happen apart from Him. So it was almost exciting to dream about it and to think about it and just to strive towards it. And as far as the details, I'm like, well, I guess God's going to figure it out as I go, because I don't know, but yeah.
Okay. Just so you guys know, she did say she was 22 years old, so she's pretty young. How does it feel being such a young kids pastor? Is that the norm, or do you find yourself being like, I'm too young for this, I need more time, or I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on that?
It is challenging because it challenges you to just kind of raise the standard for yourself despite your age. So it is possible to get to that standard, but it's definitely a challenge within yourself just to step out and say, okay, I can't do this. If God has called me to this, then I must be capable. Even if I can't see it, I know He's going to enable me to do it. So.
Okay, so in this moment that you had at this conference, that's when you made the decision to go to SEU? SEU, which is Southeastern University.
Yes.
In Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
Which is, what type of school is this for the people?
It's a Christian school.
It's a Christian university for those who are interested in pursuing what? Ministry of all kinds. Mm-hmm. So what are some of the different kinds? Because we want to promote SEU too, y'all. If y'all looking for a college or a university that you guys want to get plugged into, especially if you're pursuing ministry, SEU Fort Lauderdale is the place to go. And there's different campuses too, but that's just my little plug. Okay, so what different tracks does SEU have?
Well, for SUFTL, there are a lot of different ministries that you'll have the opportunity to put your hands in, and from there you can decide what you would be interested in when you graduate. But you would be involved in You could be in youth ministry, kids ministry, young adults, assimilation, which is first time guests. There's so many different ones. Care ministry, so that's going to nursing homes, going to doing hospital visitations, praying with people in their homes who aren't able to get out. A lot of different areas. So
okay. So you actually pursued the track of kids ministry when you were at SEU?
You don't get your own choice right away, but I was privileged to start off in kids ministry, and then later on I was able to choose it to stay in there.
So you got your feet wet.
Yes.
You already knew what you were getting yourself involved in before you got into it, which is good. The setting, the people, I mean, just pursuing kids ministry as a whole, what was the biggest challenge in college?
The biggest challenge in college would just be growing in myself, because you grow in a lot of ways at SU. I don't lie and say that it's easy to anyone, because it's not, because your character is challenged in ministry, in the houses, if you're in the dorms, just outside interaction with other students, your character is constantly challenged. So you definitely, if you allow God to mold you, you will not be the same person you were from freshman year to senior year. So
how many years is this? Is it normally like 4 years like any other university? So it's not like a cakewalk like people would assume just because it's ministry. No. It's just like going to any other university and dealing with any other people, right? Okay, because I think sometimes we get it twisted. Like, oh, it's ministry, so everybody's going to be all pleasant and nice, and you're not going to get challenged, and nothing. No, it's you get all of that, if not probably more. Okay, well that's good. What was your favorite part of college?
My favorite part was forming relationships with other students that I still have today. I remember them telling us, these are the people you're going to do life with, the people that are going to stick with you, the people you're going to work in ministry with later on. And it's really cool to already see us going into our different veins of ministry as we graduate. So it's really cool.
That's cool. So how important is relationships when it comes to ministry?
It's so important. You need people to vent to, people who, not everyone will understand where you're coming from when you have ministry challenges, because you're dealing with people who are believers, people who aren't believers, anyone who's walking through the doors of your church. So that can be a lot of different characteristics coming at you in a lot of different situations. But just having relationships allows you to vent and de-stress and be able to process, okay, what's happening, how do I go about this situation. It's really important. I would say you probably can't work in ministry without having someone to talk to who can relate.
And the reason why I asked that question is because I think it's really important to have a support system when it comes to your calling. Because a lot of people are going to try to deter you away or make you feel like maybe it's not your calling, and they're not God. They don't know what the relationship you have with God is or what He even said to you. So I think that's really key that people understand. Having a support system, having relationships that are positive and that's going to push you towards your calling is really key, because then I think sometimes people shy away from their calling if they're not around the right people, in the right community, in the right relationships. Okay, girl, I see you, girl. Was there any point that you felt like giving up or not pursuing it, or at some point or another you felt discouraged?
I have felt discouraged.
Okay.
I've also felt a call towards missions, and that can be very scary, especially in different areas of the world. So even recently, it's just something that God has been sparking in my heart again, like, hey, this is still here, So it can be discouraging because of how big it is and how challenging it may seem, but it's not impossible. You just have to keep the vision before you and keep pushing towards it.
That's good. How easy, or maybe how hard, is it to stay disciplined and obedient in this arena of ministry, or just in ministry overall? Especially being 22, you're still young, you're still living. Like, I'm sure you're surrounded by young adults that's doing all kinds of stuff, but you hold a different title. Like, you're a youth pastor, kids pastor. So the responsibility is great, and so how challenging is it to stay obedient and stay on track and keep your calling in the forefront of, your life, basically?
It's a different standard. Like, not to put myself higher than anyone,
Right.
but it's definitely a different weight of responsibility that you have spiritually, because your relationship with God affects the people you're ministering to. So if I'm not where I'm supposed to be with God, if I'm not doing my devotional, spending that quiet time with Him, if I'm not in that right place, then I have nothing to pour out to the kids. And if I have nothing to pour out to them, then I'm kind of cheapening their experience for the 1 hour and a half that I have with them on a Sunday. So everything that I do in my personal relationship with Him affects their relationship with Him and how they experience Him. And so it's very challenging.
I bet it is.
Yeah.
Ooh. And I think just the beauty behind you being so young. And I think because of your age, a lot of young adults feel like, oh, that's just, I'm going to wait till I get later on in life, like 30s, 40s, before I actually pursue what God has called me to do, and let me try these other things first. But you just took your calling and ran with it, like regardless of what was around you or the people or what people are doing. I mean, I think that's admirable. What do you feel is the best part of what you do?
The best part is probably just being able to form relationships with the kids and having those moments with them where they feel comfortable enough to open up to you about things going on at home and things in their family. It's really humbling, and I really treasure those moments because they're so precious. So just being able to have fun with them and bond with them has been really fun.
I mean, it sounds like a really fun job.
It's pretty fun. It doesn't come without stress, but honestly, I'd rather be doing this than anything else. So.
Okay, so then what's the most challenging part of being a new kids pastor? Like, you went from, probably volunteering or to now this is a full-time job for you. Like, what's the most challenging part about it?
I think just the shift in leadership and personally having to just gain another level of confidence in myself, because I have to constantly step out of my comfort zone in ways that I just think are better just spontaneous. So it's fun and it's very challenging in that sense, but this position has really just pushed me to grow in the and just evolve more.
So the church that you're at now, it's much smaller than the church you were at before.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that transition, like going from a bigger church to a really small church, and like the change in staff, the change in faces, the change in the kids, the change in everything was a change. Tell us a little bit about that transition and how were you able to maneuver through it?
Well, it's definitely been different because I'm not an intern anymore as a student. I'm on staff and I'm the only one in the kids ministry who's on staff. So it's a smaller context, but it's a lot of hats that you're wearing. So there's no team for PR, team for first-time guests. Like, you have all the responsibility. So unless you have volunteers or people who are able to help you, you have a lot more weight on your shoulders than just as an intern. So.
And sometimes I think that's a good thing, especially starting off, because it's like starting from the bottom, now we here. When you get there, you appreciate it so much more. So you're in the development stages of this, and it's gonna just get bigger, and you're gonna see it grow and develop. And okay, girl, I see you grow. So tell us a little bit about your family support with this. So you said that you pretty much was raised in a church, and your families both are involved in ministry. So when you decided to take this route, how supportive were they? Did they want you to be the typical doctor, nurse, or a lawyer, or was ministry the thing that they typically just wanted you to pursue?
They've been really supportive, honestly. I felt little to no resistance in this. If anything, they're excited for me. So
was there any influence from them or guidance to this, where you are now, from them, or do you have any influential pastors or leaders that kind of led the way, like that influenced you even more to become a kids pastor?
Definitely, my parents have supported me through all these years of me trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life.
Which is good.
And I have a lot of names as far as pastors and leaders, but two people in particular I'm thinking of are my youth pastor and his wife, and the kids pastor I work under. They have been such a huge part in forming my faith and being able to see legit ministry leaders who do what they do well, and they have the passion and heart behind it. it's really cool to see that. So
that has pretty much molded and shaped you to mimic that same passion, that same heart for the kids. That's amazing. How did you prepare for this chapter?
By going to SCU.
SCU, college was it. No other tricks, no other trades, no other.
I mean, of course, prayer.
I'm gonna say, y'all better pray.
Definitely, don't stop that. Definitely prayer, and when God just leads you to fast or just take time to really pray about your future. Sometimes it just kind of pulls you away from the crowd and start focusing on this because things are coming up. Definitely SCU prepared me more than I ever thought I would be prepared. So yeah.
Okay, good. So let's get to the really good stuff. I mean, all that was great. Get it? Ministry, calling. Yes, we love it. But tell us a little bit about, like, how is it in the dating arena when it comes to being a kids pastor for a young adult? Pretty beautiful, young. Come on. Where, is it
still believing
that,
Yeah.
Single guys. Single believer, just full of love. But this is not a dating anything. We just want to know. Okay, so do you feel like there's a lot of intimidation or pressure when it comes to dating in ministry and being in ministry?
Honestly, I haven't imagined it like that because I obviously want to do it similar to equally yoked, so I feel like we have the same standards already.
So your dream guy is going to be somebody that walks through church doors and is like in ministry.
He doesn't have to be in ministry, but of course, being able to support me because I know ministry couples who one's in ministry full time, the other one has a job outside of church walls, but they still support each other. So,
do you have like an ideal mate in mind? Ideal, tall, handsome, maybe wears glasses.
No.
Why you gotta be talking? He could be short. It's all right. Short ones too. We don't discriminate. What's your preference?
I mean, I would prefer taller than me, at least. But my brother's pretty tall. But no preference as far as
nice smile, pretty teeth.
Yeah, good hygiene.
Good hygiene. All right. Now, okay. So, do you think that it's intimidating to guys for you to be in leadership, to be in ministry that holds such a weight spiritually, because you're spiritually responsible for all the kids that you have to do? Do you think that could be a potential intimidation for a potential mate?
I never imagined it to be, but
not for your man. You just claim it, man.
Yeah.
So I know you touched a little bit on how important relationships and stuff had to be, especially in college and pursuing your calling. Has the dynamics of your friendships and your circles changed slightly since you stepped into this new role? You're no longer an intern, so you're like a real adult. So now, has that changed the dynamics of your friendships? Have they probably, some people fell off, some people were added on. How has that changed for you?
Well, I pretty much had the same friendships. It's just been more challenging to connect with people because of the hours and the distance. So you have to be more intentional. You just have to be more intentional. Because it can still work. You just have to set appointments or coffee dates or something to stay connected with them.
At the same time. Okay, that's good. It's important. Listen, you guys need to keep these relationships going, especially those that support you and support your calling so that you can stay on the right path. I think when it comes to young adults, we can get so lost in the shuffle of things and trying to hold on to things that we probably shouldn't hold on to, and we can end up losing ourselves and losing the calling that God has put on our lives. So I think that's really awesome. I think you're awesome. And I thank you for being here with us on another episode of GTALK. It's your girl, Miss Fab. And please tune in for our next episode. It's going to be fun.